Welcome back to Clubhouse Chronicles, the place where the Central Illinois music scene gets loud, proud, and unfiltered. I am Twitt, your host with the most, ready to spin you the stories, the sounds, and the struggles of the bands that are making waves right here in your backyard. This show is powered by our friends over at Broken Record Music Club, your favorite independent record label, bringing you music for whatever you are going through. With that, let's buckle on up because this isn't just a podcast. It's your front row ticket to the heart of your indie music scene. And today I am really fired up because we are joined by some people that are amazing. And by people, I mean person. My script says people. I didn't know if our friend Doug was going to be here, but it's all good. We have Juli Sherry of Pretzle Records here today to talk about everything and everything independent record label. Welcome to the Clubhouse, Juli. Thank you for joining.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Absolutely. Are you excited to have like another week off of content creation?
Yes. I'm doing the heavy lifting for us, and I'm so appreciative of all of it. You have no idea. But I know we're both big content creators right now, so
unfortunately. Yes, always going. But yeah, in case you don't know, I've had every artist / band on Pretzle Records roster on our show. That is Sweet Milk, Emily the Band, and Liz Allen, who has an amazing project on the way. So be sure to go listen to that. I'm going to plug everything later, so don't worry. But yeah, we're here. We're going to do things a little bit different today. This isn't just like a standard interview. I have some questions. Juli has some questions, and we're just going to kind of go back and forth talking about record labels and what does it mean to be on a record label? What does a record label do for you? What is the difference between a major label and an independent record label? We're going to hopefully answer all of these questions for you guys and do a good job showing what we do in our roles in our respective labels and how we help our artists each and every day. So I'm ready to go. Juli, are you ready to go?
Let's do this. That sounds like a great conversation. I'm really excited to have, so let's do it.
Yeah. So when I was coming up with my questions, the very first one that jumped into my head is, how would you describe the difference between a major record label and an independent record label? Because it's like kind of obvious to me as someone who operates my own label, but you got to inform them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've done so much digging into all this stuff after starting our label to try and understand that very question. And it is, I feel like, a really big difference between a major label, especially today, and someone like us who are running just independent labels. And I think the major difference is how do I say this? How the money flows in a certain way, and how contracts are written. Because my understanding, and this is all kind of my own, curiosity and digging through the internet and, listening to other podcasts about it. So I'm not an expert by any means, and I've never been on a major label. But what I do know is that a lot of times a major label is going to own your masters. And then they kind of do everything they can to make as much money as they can from those masters. And the artist really doesn't see a ton of that money. And they've really given up like almost all of their artwork or music and songwriting to these major labels. And that could be, the publishing rights, the recording rights, all of that stuff. But in exchange, they do get, I think, like a big budget where they can go and record at a really nice studio. They have a whole marketing team. They get, the best of the best people to help, tell the world about their music and get them a lot of streams and just do huge, campaigns so that people know who they are. And hopefully they can do that multiple times, not just for one album. So I think they're signing like if you're really good, I guess you get multi-album deals and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's bigger, but you give up a ton. And I know horror stories, or I've read horror stories of people giving up everything and getting almost nothing in return. So that's what happens in a major label, to my understanding. Do you have a similar
Yeah, the where you hear most of the horror stories, it is with a lot of the big labels, but you have to think of the bigger labels, the major labels. So I'm talking Sony, Atlantic, all of them just left my brain at this very second, but they have so much money that they're just trying to generate more money. So what we're seeing right now in the music industry is everyone loves TikTok music now. So they find someone who's blowing up on TikTok and then they just give them a whole bunch of money to try to cash in on the one song. And where people are having issues is that now after the one song, they're not making any money on anything else they make, which sucks for them, but it also, like, the artist is being taken advantage of. And that's where you see, yes, they're given big budgets. Yes, they're given huge advances, but that money is going to get back to the label one way or the other.
Yeah.
Versus an independent where we're kind of doing this thing on our own. There's not like, we're not going to give you millions of dollars in advance, but we'll for sure put some money into your releases to help market you, sit with you and plan. That's the big thing. I also think one of the big things is the overall development. I think major record labels are so caught in just trying to make money now that they're not really developing artists, which is a shame.
Yeah. I think that's the old way, is like, you find someone great, you have an A&R team that's going out and going to shows and hearing everybody and picking out someone who they really love, and then seeing the potential and growing them over time and helping them and mentoring them. And now, yeah, you're right. It's just like, oh, you went viral on TikTok. Here's a ton of money. We're going to take back as much as we can and write you a bad deal, and then probably drop you if you don't do a second viral song, which is like, that's just all luck when it really comes down to it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean
did the right person hear it this time? I guess so.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But yeah, I think the indie label, and there's bigger indie labels now, like the Sub Pops and the Rough Trades and those types of labels who've been around a long time and haven't gotten bought by major labels, which I know is another thing that happens a lot. If you get a big catalog and one of your artists gets really big, a lot of times you can, like, smaller labels will get bought up, and majors are just kind of like trying to own everything, and then, have a huge catalog that they can bargain with Spotify with, which is another thing that happens. But the indie labels that are still being indie, I think, are writing better deals for artists where, it's maybe a 50-50 split on money you make, and it's really more of a team effort, and it's smaller, but there's also levels of small. I feel like our labels are the smallest of the small, so we're maybe like writing really good deals for our artists just because we want to see them do well. And it's more about helping them and getting, a plan in place, like you said, and being with them along the way throughout the recording, through the release, and after the release, just to really do more of that development. And like we're taking on a big risk, but I think we could get, great reward just for, putting effort into the artist along the way. So I think the goal for us is to kind of like build up to maybe like the little bit bigger indie label, but I mean, major feels like a totally different world to me. Like, I don't even know. It feels bad and just gross. And
could you even imagine what you would do with a team of 30 people?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's mind blowing. Now that I know how like much effort it takes to like just do one release, physical and digital, or just one of those, like, oh man, that many people would be, awesome. But
right.
It's a lot of work, and it takes time to, build out something and grow to that. But you never know. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, Juli also has a list of questions over there. So let's let Juli fire up her first question. We'll kind of get into that topic a little bit.
All right, where did they go? Okay, my first question is, and I'm going to keep this on, let's stay with indie labels because I don't want to talk about labels anymore.
No. Too much stress.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't really know a ton. So my question is, what do independent labels do today in the world of music? Because it has also changed over time. Like, what does Broken Record Music Club do as a label?
And what don't we do? We try to do everything that a major would do, but it's on a much lesser scale, we have, well, and from majority of the nearly, is it 3? Yeah, almost 3 years that I've been doing this, it's been me. For a short time, I had like a little team, but that didn't really pan out. And then now, this will come out after I make the announcement, but we just added a booking manager. So I hate booking personally. So I'm glad I have the wonderful Bridget Lands on my team now to help start booking. But we try to do everything. So for me, it kind of is separated between like stuff we do with releases and then social media. So with releases, you know, we're acting as a distributor. So we have distribution through Symphonic. We also like help with playlist pitching. That's a whole process where you need a press release, a marketing driver, and then you got to submit it on top of also submitting it to you can submit them individually to each platform, or you can do it through Symphonic and they will send it out to all of them as well. You know, the release planning is a big one for me. I like to make sure that the releases are planned out so that everything is going to benefit the artist as much as possible. And the worst way to do that is just put out a bunch of music like 1 week, next week, third week, and not letting them breathe. I think putting some time in between is important. And where the social media comes in is how do we build the hype around the song? How do we build the brand overall for the band or the artist, just so that people will start becoming attached to the brand or understanding the brand. It allows listeners to get that much more in depth with the artist and connects them. And I think that's something that's so important that independent labels do, is that where you're going to see more connection is when the artist is more in tune with their fans and they're being put in a position to do that. Some of the independent labels that you mentioned, like Sub Pop has a big name because they had that explosion in the 90s, but you know, they still do the same thing with their current roster of artists. They're constantly promoting them. They're able to resonate with what Sub Pop is as a brand, and then also attach onto the artist brand. And then even like the independent label that I like talking about is TD. It's a rap label where Kendrick Lamar was, Schoolboy Q, Doechii. And Doechii's just been phenomenal lately, and they do things the right way, making sure everything is like story driven and not just, they're not trying to cash in on all these TikTok songs, basically. So we do a lot of stuff to really just build the artist up, the bands up, and put them in a position to win, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that, I mean, at Pretzle, we do almost all of those things as well.
Yeah.
I think, and this is going into my kind of next question, but it's been really fun chatting with you. If people who are listening don't know, we have been having just kind of monthly check-ins because we're both kind of on the same path, like trying to do the same thing for Central Illinois music. So it's been really fun chatting with you and just trying to understand like how we approach a label, because I feel like every label nowadays, especially small indie ones, they're all kind of different. There's like so much you can do. And as you said, like we can't be a major label. We can do our best to like offer some of the same services, but we're both just like one or two people. So it's just a matter of an effort that we can put into it and money. So, but it's interesting how, I mean, I feel like you've taken a really good approach to the artist development side and in getting out like that story driven approach to releases and to artists. And I mean, I also believe that is all good to do, and we're doing it as well. But I think a difference is I think our label like focuses a little more on the physical release stuff than you do. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but that's just been an interesting thing for us. And we know digital is like obviously the easiest way to spread the word. So we try and do that as well. I mean, not try, we do it. We're also doing digital distribution and social media and playlisting and all of that stuff. But when I think, and it's because when I think of a label from back in my day where I was in bands and everything, like putting out physical releases was such a big deal. And maybe that's just because I came up in kind of the punk and indie scene. But I feel like we put a kind of heavier emphasis on physical stuff. Like I think you've done releases that have just been digital, and that's awesome. But I feel like we have only done releases that have been physical and some digital. I mean, we have different stuff coming up, but I won't.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
It's a very interesting difference, because it's nice to get how you do things and compare them to how I do things, because I think the physical release is just as important, and I don't want to, take that away, because it really is. And we have some physical copies available for like when we go to shows. We just make them in-house. We're not like outsourcing that. So like if you go to a Jenny Scara show right now, you could get her newest EP, Listen Up, on CD. That's kind of where we're at right now. Well, we do have some things cooking, so don't hold your breath. But I like when we have our conversations and to hear your side of it about the physical and your experience with it, because it gives me a good frame of reference. Like, okay, yes, I do things a little bit differently, but I know this works for Juli, so how can I take something similar and make it work for my artist? And truthfully, like it's been really helpful. Like the CD stuff has definitely been helpful, and the other stuff that I'm obviously omitting right now because there's big things coming. But yeah, but yeah, I like the way that you've been doing stuff. I think the Sweet Milk release is the most unique one that I've seen, is the clusters of digital releases, and then you've always had the CDs available, probably first, and via Bandcamp. It's so unique because there's not a lot of people doing it that way, and hearing your side of it makes sense totally, especially for that project for Sweet Milk.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, same. And seeing the way you approach how you do your release planning and everything, that's been like so helpful in our own planning. And I feel like every artist that we do or that we work with and we do a release for, we like get better at it. And all of the stuff I've learned from chatting with you, like definitely I think about when we're putting together all those plans. So yeah, it's been awesome. I love
it has. I know it's also like just a good time to like, finally someone who understands my stresses on a daily basis. Like me and Juli, this one night every month is like, yes, like I could finally like get it off my chest. Not that it's like anything bad. It's just that we do so much. It's not to say that our like I await this because there's so much like going on that I can't stand with my artists or anything like that. It's just we truly do so much for these artists, and I hope that what I said earlier is like kind of highlights some of the stuff that we're doing, but it even goes beyond that once you start getting into like trying to find press, post on your own personal Instagram, be on top of your artist's Instagram and TikTok and all the platforms, and you're just trying to, it's like constant. You're constantly going, and some people don't typically realize that.
Yeah, for sure, especially when you have more than one artist at a time. That's one thing I think I've learned after 9 months or however far we are into this, is like you really need, like my whole year is planned out now, and like the amount of planning that goes in is like new. It's new and next level for me. Like I'm pretty good at planning. I've just basically been a very organized person my whole life, but I feel like this is next level now that we have artists reaching out and we have to make decisions and like look at the schedule and see where everyone fits in and coordinating all the details that go into doing a release. So that's a big learning for me anyways, is like, okay, I need to like, it takes time to plan. I think in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, I'll just like plan it out. No problem. But like, this is hours of work to like sit here with the calendar and be like, okay, what's happening every day for the next year?
It is a lot. Thank God you haven't had like a release overlap with one another, because then you're doing twice as work in the same time frame. Oh man, I intentionally like will block my days. Like, oh no, someone's got to release that weekend. They already claimed this week. You can't do it then. Sorry.
Yep.
And it also helps the artist, because you don't want your artists to kind of step on each other and prevent them from seeing shine, I guess.
Exactly.
If it happens, it happens, but you try not to make that happen.
Yeah. Not a good week or 2 weeks.
No, you're really in full grind mode.
Yeah, for
but,
sure.
You said you had mentioned something about like, how you have more and more artists reaching out to you. And one of my questions was, how do you feel about them reaching out to you now? And how do you take it? Like, is it something that artists and bands should feel comfortable doing? Or, some people might feel a certain way, like, oh, like they're a label, like I shouldn't reach out to them. I should wait for them to reach out to me.
Yeah. We started with like a main part of our website that said, hey, do you want to collaborate? Email us. And we haven't taken it down. And that's for a reason. And I always want to give people the benefit for emailing us. Like, I want all artists to understand all of the stuff we're talking about and how to do a release, because that is how you grow and that is how you get better and share your music with people. Unfortunately, we can't say yes to everyone, and it breaks my heart, because I love this scene, and everyone that reached out to us, like the majority of them have really great music, and it's music I like. So it's been a really tough decision-making process to kind of figure out, like, okay, what are the parameters for saying yes, and what are the parameters for saying no? And we've kind of come to, and I've said this, I've probably on other places, and I don't mean this in like an easy way to tell someone no, because it's never easy. But if people have done a release before, so they kind of get it, they've recorded music, they put it on the internet, they've posted on social media about it. If they kind of have done that at least once, like that's a positive thing for us. Because we are just two people. Like, we can't do everything for an artist. We're not going to sign an artist and just like take over everything. Like, this is a collaboration. We want to collaborate with people. We want to get to know our artists. We want to work with them. We want to kind of be able to boost what they've already done. So it's really important to us to have the artists have done at least one release, even if it's just an EP. They understand how to get it online. They've made CDs or tapes or something before. Like, that's all positive, because it's a working relationship. It's not just about like, oh, you're so talented, like we're gonna make you big, because like we're still small too, so we want to grow with people. And so that's kind of one parameter that we've been using for, saying yes or no to people. I mean, the second one is pretty obvious. It's just, does it fit in the schedule? Every time someone reaches out, like I respond to everyone that reaches out. I'd never want to ghost anyone or not respond. So I try and do my best to say the specifics about what I'm talking about here in those emails and correspondence, so that people just know it's not your music. It's not you. I'm not trying to make people feel bad. We want to work with everyone, but it's more of just constraints and time. So if we have, for right now, we're booked out for releases until January of next year. So if people come to us and they're like, I want to release my EP in 2 weeks, we're kind of like, we can't. We just physically can't. So that's been a more of an easy way to kind of say we're sorry. But I always say, like, hey, for the next one, hit us up. If they're willing to reach out in the first place, like that's a good sign that they want to collaborate. So we keep that in mind, and we remember who's, sent us an email or sent us an Instagram message that they're interested. So like reaching back out again is always good too. But sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes maybe the artist hasn't done a release yet, but we like really love the tunes, but we just can't do it in time. So, it's hard. And sometimes maybe the songs just, not that they're bad, but maybe they're just not for us. Like, they're just not an interest or a genre that we're interested in, or that fits on the roster. And so even if it's great music, like, I don't know, we have to make those kind of decisions, and they're subjective, but they're just going to be, unfortunately. And I think any label would say that. So,
yeah, it's got to be something that's in your wheelhouse. Like when I sit down and like, if someone reaches out, or before I reach out to an artist or a band, I have to really like their music in the first place in order to, want to make that kind of time commitment and monetary commitment in the end as well, to working with them. Because it's, if I don't love the music, I can't force myself to like be positive about it. And that's just a taste thing. It has nothing to do with whether the music is great or not. Sometimes it's just a taste thing, and you can't help that. But Yeah. If you guys just kind of glanced over that fact, like Juli just said she was booked, like her release is out until January. Yeah. So that's like the time frame. Like I sat down with in 2024 in November, me and Jenny planned out this EP that just came out. So that's how far ahead that, we're working on planning stuff ahead of time, just so, to make people aware, like we are booked. Like this is like a whole process. And it's kind of similar with booking, like where you have to get stuff on the calendar way ahead of time to just make sure that it gets done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so actually, I mean, artists, I've been impressed with a lot of artists who've reached out, because they're like, the time frame has only come into play maybe a couple times, but a lot of artists that reach out, they're like, hey, we have until 6 months from now, so timing isn't really an issue. And I'm like, okay, well, they know, that's great. So if we can just spread the word about, doing as early as possible. I mean, if you want to be on an indie label like ours, I feel like, reaching out right when you're going into the studio is the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be afraid to reach out, honestly. It doesn't hurt. The worst they can do is say no, and it's not like me or Juli are going to be like, you're terrible, because that's not the case. Sometimes it's you're too early thing, like kind of what you were saying with, like, you have to have a release out there. I had a duo reach out to me earlier this week, and they're like, hey, we're 16, here's our first song, like we would love to work with you. Like, okay, that's cool. Like, good job on making the music. Like, that takes so much effort, and good for you guys. But at the same time, you guys are still really young. You're still really early in the process. Like, it takes time to develop your sound as an artist, and to understand some of the nuances of recording and social media presence. It is incredibly difficult to start from zero, but you have to do a lot of work on your own as an artist to get to a place where you're fit for a team. You can't just like, hey, put me on your team and let's start from nothing. And I mean, sometimes if a label is willing to take on like a project like that, like I would say talent wise, like it has to line up. But at the end of the day, like, just be honest with yourself. Like, you kind of have to look in the mirror and be like, okay, this was my first song, or this was my first try at a release. Like, I obviously have some stuff that I want to work on, and I'm gonna, keep working at it, keep working on the content that I create to promote my music. I'm gonna try to build my audience organically on my own before I ask for help. Yeah. That's like a huge piece that I think some people that are so eager to like grow and like blow up, like that's why they're always looking like, hey, let me be on the label real quick.
Yeah. And I think that's another kind of parameter for us, is like, do you have an audience? Because we can't just hand you one. Like, that's not what our label does. I don't think any small label can do. So it is, like you said, it's just like, can we work together to be a team versus like take over part of your job of being an artist. And unfortunately today that is, building social media, building streaming, like figuring out how to do some of the physical stuff if you want to go that route, and just having a basic understanding of everything before you ask someone to like join the team, because I think that just makes it better for everyone. Because if we all kind of know the basics, and maybe like me or Doug have like more experience in one area and the artist has more experience in the other, like that's great, because then we're covering more ground with all of these tasks and planning and all this stuff we talked about that you have to do. So yeah, that is important.
So this whole little stream of thought here made me think of this other question that I had, and it's like, what do you think the biggest misconception about independent labels are? Because we're doing a lot of talking about how we accept artists and how, deciding if we're going to take them on or not. But what do you think the biggest misconception is by artists and bands out there?
It's a good question. I'm trying to think of like when I'm still a musician, but like back when I was in bands that were more active. I think that, and this just kind of goes back to what we said, but I think we thought that a label would reach out to us if we were really good and like if we played as many shows as possible and like kind of built our name, we thought it would come. That's really not true. Like you really do have to reach out, and now being on the other side, like I really understand that. And I think, I mean, when I was in my most recent band, we did have labels reach out, but it wasn't clear what services they offered. So I remember just being like, well, what is this label going to do? Like, sure, they reached out, but like, are they just going to like pay for some vinyl to be pressed? Because I was in a band where that kind of happened, but there was no promo. And that made me start to think like, okay, well, what do we really need? Like, what skill set do we not have in our band currently? Because that's what a label should be filling in. But like, I just had that realization, a couple of years ago. And so I think that's something to consider if you're an artist and you don't really know what a label does. Like, just do a little Googling. I feel like listen to this podcast. We're doing our best to let you know what we can do for you.
Sure.
Make sure it's something you want or that you really need help with, because if you can already do it, I mean, let's not waste each other's time. If you have a huge social media following, you're a social media expert, like I'm not going to come in and like do it better. So it is finding the fit of like where are the holes in skill sets and how can we, be a puzzle piece and fit together and make it work even better.
For those of you listening, there are a lot of music scams out there too. Yeah. So like, be careful, make sure you vet your sources and know the people that you're talking to, and make sure that all like the website and the Instagram is very clear on what they're going to offer you, and be prepared to just know going into the meetings with people like this that they're going to try to take something from you. The services that a label provides, like obviously you need compensation for the time that you're putting into helping an artist or a band. But some people will take way more than is absolutely necessary. The pieces that we're earning back are very small. So a monthly fee may not be something that you're super worried about. But if it's like, hey, you got to pay me like $2,000 a month to be on my label, like, is that really worth it? Sacrificing your splits of your masters, how much are you willing to give up? Go know that going into your meetings, just so that you're prepared. And if it's something that you're not comfortable with, you can say no right away. Because these guys can get greasy. These people can be greasy. They're trying to take your money. So just be aware of scams out there.
Yeah. And I want to add to that, like, I mean, I really want to be a resource for musicians too. Like a lot of musicians that reached out who we couldn't say yes to, I was like, I always say, I'm like happy to answer any questions and give you all of the things I know. Like, it's not like, we're not trying to gatekeep how to do a good release. I'm happy to sit down with anyone for like an hour and just be like, here's how we do it. Like, go do it and ask me questions. And I've had a couple of people like take me up on that, and it's been really good. And like, that's what I want to see from artists too, is like going to figure out all this stuff so you're not getting ripped off, or you understand deeply like what you're giving up to get services from a label. So I'm saying this again to everyone listening, like if you want to know what we do and how we do it, like just ask me. I will sit down with you for any amount of time, and you can ask me anything and I will share. Because I mean, the more artists doing good releases, especially in our Central Illinois scene, like great, that's good for everyone. So happy to, share all that info.
Same here. Be smart. We'll look out for one another too. Like if you see someone like knowingly going into a scam and they can't see it because they're so excited, because that's the other thing that they try to use is like, oh, a label reached out to you, like, oh, you should be excited. Like, we noticed you. They'll use like phrasing like that to like really try to get you to get suckered in. But yeah, just take care of each other. Watch out for scams.
Yeah.
Do we want to go back to your question list? I feel I've hit a couple.
We've covered a lot.
Yeah,
how about this one? How about like, what's the best part about running a label for you? Like, what do you like the most?
Ooh, I just love working with the artists. Honestly, I like putting out cool shit. Period. That's the sentence. Because like I said earlier, like if I'm super passionate about the music, like I'm a fan, regardless if you work with me or not, I'm still going to listen. I'm going to use this band as an example because I truly love their music. Frontega is a wonderful band, and I did have a meeting with them, talking to them about the label and what we offer and stuff, and they declined for their own reasons, and that's perfectly fine. But I still actively listen to their music. It's not like I'm super spiteful, but dude, if I can put out more releases in a year, I would. That's what I want to do. That's why I'm, we just signed the Motus band. We have another one on the way, and it's super exciting, but secret still. So again, I'm hitting you with a little teaser, but I just want to put out good music for people that I like, that I can listen to, and I'm kind of biased. I think my taste in music is pretty good, so I think more other people would like it as well. So just to get music out there and be creative with the artists on the other side of things, because I have no musical talent whatsoever. I just like to do little artwork and plan and make little creative marketing plans. So that's just where I love being at and being involved. What about you? What's yours?
Ooh, I mean, so many things. I feel like when Doug and I just had this idea to do a label, we were just like, yeah, this makes sense. And then when I started to dig in and to understand like what it took, I was like, oh, I kind of already know how to do all this stuff because I've literally been in a band since I was 16 years old. So I've been like honing my skills without knowing it. And so being able to like help other people and use those skills is awesome. And there is a difference I've noticed, and something I really like is like, it's hard to do some of the marketing stuff for your own band because it feels weird. It feels like, oh, I'm promoting myself. Like I feel like my ego is huge and like, why would people care about me? And it feels awkward. But when you're not in the band, it's like almost easier because you're like, oh, I love this artist. Like it's so much easier for me to say like Liz Allen is awesome and Sweet Milk is so good. And like everyone needs to listen to these bands because it's not me personally. So that's been a fun kind of discovery because I don't really have a background in marketing, but a lot of this is marketing. So I'm learning a ton there. And to do it for bands and for music is just like the best. I don't want to do it for, paper plates. I want to do it for music, and like telling people about music is really fun. I love talking about music. I could talk about music for hours and
all
like
day.
yeah, and we've like sat in meetings with just people who are in the industry or other artists around town, and I'm just like, yes, this is going to be awesome. I just get to sit down and talk about music for like another hour or so, and it's great. And yeah, I think it's also a fun challenge. I have a background in business, so I kind of like to be that like conductor in the background, like taking care of all of the planning and managing all the details. Like I said, I'm like pretty organized, so being able to use that skill set to like a new level has been kind of a growth for me. And to have to communicate so much, like I'm kind of an introvert. I know people wouldn't say that, but only the people who I talk to about music wouldn't say that because that's the one thing I really like to talk about. So just like being able to be a good communicator and be a good planner. And it's really just project management when it comes down to it. So like elevating that skill set for me is really fun too. And especially for music. I've said that 1,000 times, but like, yeah, it's my passion. So yeah, that's awesome.
It's so fun. And it actually like has made me interested in other stuff. Like I never thought that I would go back into like a learning environment on my own accord after I got out of college.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get into social media. Like I wanted to learn everything I could about social media. So I went back and I got certified in social media marketing just because I was so invested in helping, artists. But it's also just so cool. Like I love learning about the algorithms and knowing all these little tips and tricks that, maybe not everyone knows at face value. Like you kind of have to know who exists on each platform. And there's so many little nuances. And I think I've said this to you before in one of our monthly meetings, but it seems like when you're in like owning a record label or running a record label, it's like there's so much knowledge that you can learn. Like you feel like you get to a place where you understand a lot, and then you discover that there's just so much more, and then you spend more time, and then you discover that there's so much more again, and it's like a constant cycle of learning. And
Yeah.
that part of it is kind of is pretty fun too.
Yeah. I love learning. I mean, I think this is a little bit of my parents making me like value education really highly when I grew up. Like I had a lot of extracurriculars, but they're like, you must do your homework first. So I've always kind of like been in that mindset. But I think that has made me a really good lifelong learner. So same. I mean, you just open up a new rabbit hole every day. And I probably know more about music publishing than I should. And like, we don't even do publishing. Like, but I talked to artists. I'm like, hey, if you want to know about publishing, like you can make money, like doing these other little things where you have to fill out forms, and I can help you because I read about it for 2 weeks straight. Like, looked at a bunch of diagrams, and I know where every cent of the money that you can make from a recording or from songwriting goes. So let me know, anyone, if you want to dig in and figure that out. I'm happy to share all of my newfound knowledge. But yeah, it's a constant learning cycle, and I enjoy that too about it. So it's cool to hear you say the same.
The old royalty rabbit hole is one that I have ventured down many a time. And it's funny too, because sometimes you'll figure something out, you're like, oh, cool. And then you go back to it and you're just like, oh yeah, this is still pretty cool. Like I remember like someone first told me about like, did you know about like royalties and publishing? It was like when I first started, I was like, what do you mean? I thought my distributor is just collecting all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I found this like really awesome guide, and I was like, okay, I should probably get that. Read through it, and I was like, wow, I'm so amazing.
I mean, the bad part about the rabbit holes are like you see how broken the system is at the same time.
Yes.
Like, everyone's taken a quarter of a cent off a quarter of a cent, and there's 20 different routes that it takes to go to different people who are involved in this process. And it's like, how did we get here? Like, what happened? And I mean, it unfortunately is a lot of times bad for artists, but for the publishing side of things, I mean, our thing is like, we're not going to take any publishing. Like, we want to just get artists like info so that they can get that income stream, because we want artists to be paid as much as anyone. So I think just being a guide on that side of things is helpful, but it is just a bunch of forms. Like, not a lot of artists are into just like filling out all these forms about their songs and having to check back every 6 months. And you like probably don't get a bunch of money at first, but it is like kind of a best practice thing to do just in case, because otherwise you're just leaving money on the table, which I think a lot of people don't know. Like, every time your song gets like streamed on Spotify, like only half of it goes to your distributor and then to you, and the other half goes to publishing. And then like there's publishing houses in every country in the world, and you need to go out and like collect all that money that's just like sitting in a bank somewhere, but it's yours, and they're just going to hold it until you say, hey, it's mine. And yeah, that is something I think a lot of people don't know.
And if you don't claim that money, some other music executive is going to take it from you. So make sure you're collecting your royalties. Hit up Juli or hit up me. We can have a conversation. But it's like there's so many layers to this, and it's crazy to think that from a fan's perspective, like thinking that any artist can do this on their own is kind of crazy. Like we're asking artists nowadays to be content creators, make your music. Also, like, hey, figure out a way to make merch and physical releases and afford that and have money to tour. And like the list goes on and on and on. And oh, by the way, you're going to make like 1,000th of a cent with every stream. Having a team around them trying to take stuff off their plate. That's at least my goal, is to try to take as much off of them so they can focus on their music and writing and working on their performance and getting all of that stuff for the fans. Like when the fans come and go to listen, they're getting the best product. I can handle the other stuff. I'll figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah, we're both people who will figure it out. It sounds
yes. Like. You kind of have to be a figure it out person in this.
For sure. But that is also the fun part, as discussed.
Yes. Well, throughout this whole conversation, we've kind of answered all the questions that I had. Do you have any left on your list over there?
The other two I have are, what's the state of the music business today? And I feel like we talked about that.
What a loaded question.
I know. I don't know if we need to get that. I mean, we sort of did. And then the other one was the hardest part about running a label, which we may have touched on. I don't know. It's up to you if you want to dig into that. The counterpoint to the best part.
The hardest part is, I think the hardest part is trying to operate on a minimal budget. Doing so much on a minimal budget and working like I work a 9 to 5. Juli, I know, also has a day job as well. We can't do this full time yet, but we're very hopeful. I think one of the things that is challenging, but I'm not going to say it's the hardest, is sometimes trying to temper expectations. Understand where you're at and the growth that you're going to go in a year. It could still be like super, super great, but it may not be like, oh, why am I not like blowing up? Why am I not playing Coachella right now? Like, it doesn't happen like that. Like, those stories are so few and far between, and a lot of the stuff you didn't see in the background. So just understanding that this whole thing is such a process. It takes years to like really work at your craft and start to see the results of all of your hard work and your team's hard work. I feel like some people that reach out immediately, like we kind of touched on that a little earlier, like some people that reach out think that getting on a label is like their ticket to, oh, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to like blow up. I'm going to go on a world tour. Like, there's a lot of other stuff that we have to do before we get to even playing shows out of the state. Like, so keeping those in line can be challenging, but no, the hardest part is the budget though, for real. It can be tough sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're putting our own money into this, and we are taking a lot of risk because the music business is generally bad. Like, not many people win. So I think it just does have to come from a love of it, which I know we both have.
Yes.
But yeah, trying to make it financially successful is a struggle. And it's honestly like, I mean, any business that's starting up it's going to take 3 years in general to potentially become profitable. So, I mean, I knew that going into it. I mean, like I said, I have a background in business, so that's what I expected. But it is really hard, I think, to know how much to invest in each project that you do, and all those expectations, and like knowing an artist is really trying to make a go of it. Because I mean, it's also fine to just be in a garage band and play your friend's house for 10 years, and that's your music career, and that's a hobby, and that's amazing. I mean, that's kind of what I did. I've never like put full time and effort into it because it's really hard and not many artists can do that. But even just like the mindset of like, I'm going to make a go out of it, I'm going to give it 3-4 years, and then like that's a better investment for a label than someone who's like, I just want to kind of like write some songs in my bedroom and we'll see what happens. Like, because it's work. Like, you really have to treat it like your job, and I feel like we treat it like our job as much as we can with the time and money we have. So it's like kind of expecting the same from the artist, but again, like you said, knowing it's like there's no promises, like can't guarantee success, and it is more like the more time you put into it, there's luck involved. But you want to make a go of it, like I'm here for it. I want to see everyone be successful that we work with, and even people we don't work with. Like, I want to see people be successful. So yeah, that's kind of the hard part, is like the balancing act of all of the things, like how much money's in the bank, how much is it gonna be, can we sell this many CDs, like, and you don't know, you can kind of guess, you can run some numbers, but there again, it's hard, and sales is hard, and the music business is hard. So like everything's working against you. But I love music too, so we're still gonna work as hard as we can to make a go of it.
Yeah, I don't, now that I've like, this is like a drug. Like, I don't think I could stop even if I wanted to, unless I was like in the poorhouse. I think I would have to stop then, but until that point, I will keep at it and keep working with artists and putting out their music and just doing everything I can at least to give them that shot. I like I said, it's my favorite part. I just like listening to cool music, putting it out.
Yeah, same. So, I mean, I also love playing music.
Yeah, I mean, you have that luxury. I can't play anything. So
it's also a drug. It's a drug I've been addicted to since I picked up a guitar, and I don't see myself ever stopping. And it's something that has like pretty much driven my entire life, and it like has given me all of the friends I have, all the people that I like to hang out with, like pretty much all came from being in bands or going to shows. So it's like I feel like I'm giving back, and that's a big part of it too. Whether we can one day, you know, have someone blow up or not, it's still worth it. And I love doing it too. And it is a drug. That's a good description. It's my favorite drug.
Yeah, it is the best drug. Unfortunately, it is not a very wealth-inducing drug. I wish that
We're not selling drugs.
No, these are not real drugs.
That would be successful.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Oh man. Well, I had all my questions asked. Do you have anything else that you want to cover before we kind of close out of here? We've been at it for a bit. I hope this was helpful for people who are interested.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of interviews, and they're great, and we're happy for the press. But a lot of the questions are like, if you don't run a label, like you wouldn't think to ask, like we've been chatting about here, like, which is really cool because the questions like from normal press is like, oh, like how do you start the label, like why did you start the label, like what are you doing, and that's great, like we want people to know that. But I feel like this was a more fun of like deep dive because we both know like what it's like and what behind the scenes work we're doing, and I think it's really cool. So I hope people listen and enjoy it.
Yeah, we hope you enjoy it. But thanks for hanging out with us. A little bit different episode today, like I said, but I enjoyed every second of this. Maybe we'll have Julie and Doug back on to talk more about different things having to do with labels. If you have any other questions that you want us to answer, you can reach out to us on Instagram, or you can leave a comment on Spotify, or you can leave a comment on YouTube. So leave those and we'll check those out, and maybe we'll get another episode going together. Julie, thank you so much for coming on and spending this hour with me and chatting about all this stuff. It's always like such a relief, like to come home from work and just like be able to talk music with you. So I really appreciate it. I appreciate our friendship that we're building. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, likewise. Same to you. I love our conversations. I hope we can continue and keep putting out great tunes from Central Illinois and beyond.
Yes. And there will be. I'm going to plug Juli and Pretzle Records right now, so bear with me. You can give Pretzle Records a follow at Pretzle Records. That's Pretzle Records. Yes, that's right. It's spelled wrong. Get over it. But that's where you can find them. We have a link in the show notes that will take you to their website as well. Check out all their bands. All their physical releases are available up there as well. Their merch, they have some cool merch. Check out their artists, all our friends from Pretzle Records, Sweet Milk, Emily the Band, Liz Allen, all have new stuff coming out throughout this year. And Liz Allen's project is coming up soon in a couple months. First single drops the 30th. Am I correct?
Yep.
Check them out, listen to them, stream them, show them some love, because they were great guests on our show and they deserve it. So do that shit. You can also check out Broken Record Music Club, our label, at Broken Record Music Club on Instagram. We have a website you can check out too, www.brokenrecordmusicclub.com. It's in the show notes as well. You can click it, check out our artists. Our website is a little bit under construction right now since we've had an addition and we're remodeling a little bit, but you can still check it out in its former glory before it gets updated. But we appreciate all the support that we get from the scene and all the fans of our artists, because our artists are fantastic as well. But just like that, that's our show. You've been hanging out with Clubhouse Chronicles, where the sounds are hot, the stories are hotter, and the vibes absolutely off the charts. Don't forget to hit us up at Club Chron Pod on Instagram for all the updates, news, and more on this podcast. Yes, that's right. If you missed it, we have moved from the Broken Record Music Club page to our own individual page. where you will see all the clips and lists and all the fun playlists that we're going to be building. It's a whole plan. I've been plotting and scheming on it. If you did listen to the update episode, for Pete's sakes, if you want this information. But we're still located in the same place on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Please subscribe. Please like. It really helps the channel. It helps the artists and the people on this show get seen, and hopefully we can help them succeed by doing so. So please do that if you are just a kind person. But until next time, keep it loud, keep it proud, and remember, Central Illinois is where the music magic happens. Peace.
Peace. That was awesome.